Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor. Now, the motor trade legal experts, Lawgistics, has recently created a new associated company to offer subsidised legal support for its members who have court cases. And it's called Lawgistics Litigation for the Motor Trade CIC. Now, joining me to discuss more is Lawgistics Managing Director Joel Combs and Solicitor and Head of Legal Services, Nona Bowkis. Hello, both.
Hi, James. How are you?
Very good indeed. Lovely to have you on again on Car Dealer Live. Now let's start because I've got loads to ask you about. So let's crack straight on with it. Nona, if I could come to you first, can you just give us a bit of understanding of what the initial inspiration was for setting up Lawgistics Litigation for the Motor Trade CIC, and how does it align with the broader mission for Lawgistics?
Okay, so last year there was a court case called Baxter and Doble that the judgment was passed down in kind of March, and that changed the whole legal scene. It was nothing to do with the motor trade, it was actually a landlord and tenant case, but what that judgment said was that organisations like us, and certainly the lady that was offering landlord and tenant services, cannot operate like that anymore. They cannot help people in the background, which is what Lawgistics have been doing for 20 years with court cases. So we kind of had to change everything because it was either stop helping our dealers with their court cases, which would have wasted all the intellectual capital and experience that we have here, or find a way to do that within the regulatory framework. We sort of had three choices. We could have gone very official with it down alternative business structure route, which would have been really expensive, jumped through a lot of hoops, lots of regulatory people having to be employed and going through all there, which is not really the Lawgistics way. We like to get the job done, and get it done well in the best possible way. Or we looked actually at becoming a charity, but that sounded a bit weird. So we didn't go down that route either. And then we looked into the community interest company option, and it was perfect, really, because that's what we are. We look after our motor trade community. We're part of that community. And by setting up with that structure, that meant we could continue to provide that legal help for court cases. And not only that, but go further, put ourselves on record, which means telling the court that we're acting for that client. So when we're managing everything. So we haven't got dealers saying, I've got this turned up, I don't know what to do with it, because everything from the court is now coming to us and we are managing everything for them from there. And because Lawgistics is there, because we've got that experience of dealing motor trade stuff day in, day out, we can do that at a subsidised rate as well, which is really good. And because, I say, we didn't go down the full solicitor route, which we could have done, but then we'd just be the same as any other solicitor, just with the motor trade experience. And then our dealers are looking at, the court would say that I could charge as an experienced solicitor outside of London £255 an hour. And when they've got a lot of small claims, which we see, which are less than 10,000, £250 an hour doesn't go very far. So really that's why we've done it, to make it accessible and affordable, but we'll have all our experience as well. So we've got 15 in the legal team now. There's a lot of experience between us.
Yeah.
We thought it was a brilliant solution, to be quite honest.
Sorry, carry on, Joe.
It certainly was for Lawgistics what we wanted to do. A KIC, it's a community interest company, and what that means is it doesn't actually make a profit, or it's not allowed to make a profit. If it does make a profit, that has to go back to the community. And that's what we felt, was this wasn't a profit-making exercise. This was about securing the knowledge that we'd built up over the 20 years that we were using to help people in court cases. That would be lost if we didn't do something. So the community interest was such a good fit for Lawgistics and the direction we were going. So they are two separate companies. Lawgistics is all about keeping people out of court. The Lawgistics KIC is when the unfortunate happens and somebody goes to KIC. And interestingly, when we looked at it, it was around 8% of our clients had court cases when this case came up. So we could have either stepped backwards and said, we're not going to do this, or we could have stepped up. And the costs were quite high in becoming the KIC. With our insurance went up, and we had to employ more people to run that as well. So there were some costs in it. But we decided one of the things that we're renowned for is winning cases.
Mm.
And if we didn't have the kick, then for the marketing purposes of Lawgistics and the good stories that are about us, they would go as well.
Mm.
So it just seemed like a good fit for us.
Yeah, I didn't really realise the huge undertaking is involved in it, really. And I'm sure, this is the whole purpose of this chat, to try and give dealers a bit of understanding of what's changed and the reasons why you've had to set it up. I mean, Joel, did you face any challenges in actually setting up the kick, or and if so, I mean, how did you overcome them?
I think the setting up of the kick was probably our first challenge. A lot of people don't understand what a kick is. So when it came to get insurance for it, we say, right, we're going on record with the court. Oh, are you a solicitors? No, we're not a solicitors. Oh, are you an ABS? No, we're not ABS. We're a kick. We don't have to be regulated because we're a community interest company.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't tick the box. So it probably took us, about 2 months to actually get insurance to go on record as a kick. And once people recognise that, then things got a lot bit easier to move forward in that direction. I mean, that was going to be a turning point for us, that we would have to go down the ABS solution if we couldn't get the insurance.
Nona, can we just chat a little bit more about the specifics? So, because I'm sure plenty of viewers will be asking this same question. Have you got any examples of the general comparison between a kick's costs compared to, let's say, a traditional high street solicitor, and what makes this possible to ensure a high level support?
Yeah, well, I say anything for small claims, which is claims under £10,000, you'd be paying a solicitor £200 to £300 an hour for that. And I say you're not going to get a lot of work done. It's going to be thousands. Whereas our small claims, we do it all in for £297. So for less than £300, we do everything. We write the defence, we go on record, we do all the corresponding with the court and the other side, and write the witness statements and go all the way and prepare an advocate to go to the hearing from there. Anything over £10,000 goes either in the fast track, which isn't called fast track because it's fast, because it's at least 30 weeks and usually up to 2 years at the moment to get a case to court. So I think consumers think, I want to go in the fast track because it's fast. Not the case at all. Or the intermediate track. Because in fact, although we changed everything when we brought the kick, the court changed the system in October as well and brought in a new cost regime. So now everything up to 25,000 is in the fast track. Over in that, the court introduced a new intermediate track. And in those two tracks, fast and intermediate, it's now fixed fees. So solicitors can't do what they were doing prior to October, charging £200, £300 an hour. Well, they can, but they're not necessarily, the client, the consumer, is not going to get all that back from the court because there's a cap on it. But for those cases, we charge a fixed fee of 10%. So if it's a £20,000 claim, they will pay us £2,000, and they pay £1,000 when they open the case. And if it settles along the way, our clients never have to pay the other £1,000. They only pay that if nothing settles. And a lot of ours do settle along the way, just because it is potentially very expensive if you lose in court. But the other side, on the £20,000 case, will be paying almost £20,000, even under the fixed cost regime, because obviously solicitors will be charged, although they're a fixed cost, there are little sort of nooks and crannies they can work around, and they're going to charge as much as they can from there. So what we're doing at £2,000, another person in the high street is still going to be paying nearer £15,000, £20,000 for that, possibly more as well. So yeah, it's a huge difference what we're able to do, and we are able to do that because we've got logistics and we've already got the experienced team here. We haven't got to bring new people in. Yes, we've expanded our team. We've now got 15 legal advisors, but this is what we do. As Joel said, our business is really keeping our dealers out of court, and we do that really well. It's a small percentage that go to court, but that's life. Cases will go to court, and it's disproportionately expensive if you haven't got access to a subsidised rate like ours. And we still get car dealers ring up and say, the judges always rule against car dealers. That isn't our experience, but there is that bias against car dealers, I think. So they do need that extra support, and they shouldn't be charged all that extra money when we're here doing motor trade work. And that's all we do. We don't do divorce cases for motor traders. We don't do anything for fish and chip shop owners or builders or anything. This is what our 15 legal advisors work on day in, day out, and we're really good at it, I think. So it's not only cheap, it's really good as well. So it's super, super value, in my opinion, of course.
No, the savings are significant, as Nona said, and that's really what we want to do. We find that dealers get put in a position very much where the consumer can get free help, and they can have a litigant in person. So someone's in the background that they know that does law, and they're fighting our dealer. Our dealer's got to make a commercial decision. And if they're facing a court decision that could cost them £20,000, they're just going to roll over. And it doesn't seem that justice is being had. And we're just giving them that opportunity with the community interest company where they can have their chance. I mean, the strong point is we won't take on a case that has no merits, because unlike a solicitor's, we're not going to get paid by the hour for it. So we are looking at, have you got a chance? Is it a fair case? And if so, then yes, you can have our subsidised help.
Yeah, and we've spoken, many times in the past of how there's this assumption that from dealers that they're, as soon as something comes to court, they're going to lose because the system is sort of against them. But as you've proved, that's not always the case, is it? So, Nona, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Have you got any success stories where the kick has really made an impact on a dealer that's, in a case that's gone to court?
Yeah, we win a lot of court. In fact, we looked at the stats yesterday for January from there, and I think we had 30 outcomes in court for January, and we lost one. Only one was lost in all of that time. And of the savings, that came to over £100,000, what the dealers were being chased for and what they ended up paying or not paying. And we haven't started digging into that yet either. That was just 30 of the cases that concluded last month. So, yeah, they're the sort of savings we get. And to lose one out of those 30 is pretty good. They didn't all reach a hearing stage, sometimes because we write a defence and it's so good, the other side think, oh, actually, I'm not going to pursue this after all, and they drop out at that stage, so our client doesn't have to pay for that. There's mediation, and we do different things all the way along from there. But yeah, for 1 out of 30, I think that is pretty good. And we've only really just started monitoring that now. Now everything has settled down after getting set up and various issues that we had along the way. We're now looking at all the stats and how that's working out. So yeah, I think that, just that 1 month shows the difference it can make by having experienced people on your side.
Yeah. Nona, I'm going to stick with you on this one. Now, I understand that the KICS approach, it includes a strong focus on strategic legal research. I mean, how does this research component enhance all of the services you provide and benefit the motor trade community?
Yeah, well, there's us. We've got, as a solicitor would, there's a couple of databases out there that solicitors pay for that are very expensive, so we've got access to that. But we've got access to each other as well. Our legals, if we have a query, we're like, oh, not really come across that one before, or this is new. And we got like a round robin email, so all 15 legal advisors will get it, and there's a discussion. Some will say this, some will say that. So we've got all our own internal stuff. And also now we're getting a barrister in. We've got a barrister coming in on Monday from Gough Square, who are consumer experts, and we're looking into car finance, particularly indemnities, because there's a particular finance company that always want to enforce their indemnity policy. So we're going to have a look a bit further into there to see what else we can do in that way. There's a chambers in Cambridge that we work with quite a lot. Ian Bain does a lot of our litigation for us. He came in to do a lot of litigation training with us. He's coming back again in March as well. So it does mean we can invest from people that know, because we know a lot, but we're not arrogant enough to think we know everything. Nobody knows everything. So we get these specialists in, whether it's Daniel from Gough Square as a consumer specialist or Ian as a litigation specialist. We also had a barrister come in who's a costs specialist as well, to make sure we knew how to charge and how to make the most when we're charging the other side. Because, of course, if our dealer wins, they get their costs back. So they don't just get back what they've paid us, they get back what they should have paid us if we were charging at £255 an hour, because the court allows that system. But our dealer will never pay more than our fixed fee. But when they win, they get that back, and we get what we should have charged if we were a solicitor's office as well. So it works well for everybody, and that money again goes back, and it helps with the training and the development and getting experts in to keep us up to date with everything, really, because we're busy people, so it's good to get other people in and new perspectives as well.
Joe, Lawgistics has been a strong supporter of Ben over the years. And, you know, all of our viewers and readers know that. And the kick is no different, is it? Can you just elaborate on this partnership and the impact it has on the motor trade community?
Well, I think from the offset, we looked at it, and Nona mentioned we were thinking, should we be a charity or should we be a community interest company? And we went against the charity because, again, there's a lot of regulation behind that, and we didn't want to get involved in that. But a community interest company, once we established the motor trade as a community, we did realise that this is something we've built that we want to give to the motor trade, and therefore it should be seen. So every case we raise gives an amount of money to Ben, just off. So the money somebody pays, £10 of that money goes to Ben. So that's already made £4,000 in our first 7 months. But also, Nona has spoke about costs. When we get costs back, what we do as well. So the dealer will only pay us, say, £2,000 on something there they could claim back £10,000 costs. And what we do is then encourage them, when they make a win like that, to put the money into the charity as well. So it's kind of like making good of a bad situation, where everybody benefit as well. And just going back, you know, the profit that the kit will make, we will reinvest back into the team, and any excess, it's in the articles of the community, will be pushed back to Ben as well. So that's the chosen charity that it will support.
Brilliant. And I mean, lastly, let's just look at the future and your plans. I mean, how do you see the kick evolving over the years? I mean, have you got any sort of goals or initiatives that you're planning and excited about?
I think it's early days. We've just found our feet, and there have been some challenges along the way. Ultimately, we wanted to secure the knowledge base we have, because we saw that slipping away. We've got so much. We've got the biggest churn in the UK for these types of cases. So we will receive 200 to 300 queries or cases regarding motor trade issues every month. And from that, we're developing 30 to 40 cases that are going up in court. So if you look at that, we're in a privileged situation to see trends and what's going on in the market. And it would have been a shame to lose that. So that's what we want to capture first by setting up the kick. Now we've got the kick and we know we've had the stamp of approval and we can see it working. I think we're saying now we can see this is going to outlive ourselves. You know, we want this to become something stronger. I'm talking to the federations that work for there. You know, we have ADR, but if ADR doesn't work, where do they go? We can provide this chance. You know, we talk about the fact that they need to make commercial decisions. There's a little in that decision, they can say, oh, we can look at logistics litigation for the motor trade and run the case by them. So really, we're looking to just build on what we've put together now and help the community further just on this litigation alone. Have you anything to add on that, Nona?
No, it's just because since we've gone the kit, we've already taken on three new legal advisors. We've got someone else starting there. So, you know, the more we've got here and the more intellectual capital we build up, the more we can do. And it'd be nice to take on cases. So there's issues around sort of HPI that could do with a little bit more fleshing out, some auction things. And it would be nice to be in a position where we can start just taking on cases because we think the motor trade need it. So not just working for individual dealers, but start looking at issues and pushing that forward and paying these barristers to work with us to work that out and move forward. So, yeah, we really see it as taking everything forward, really, from the motor trade perspective, I think, from there. And I think there's a lot more we can do with it. But it's been a bumpy little time. But, yeah, like Joel said, we've been signed off now by my authority. I'm not going to prison now, which I'm very happy about. My Solicitors Regulation Authority have signed off what we do and how we do it. And I didn't expect any other result from that, but you do never know from there. And the ultimate penalty is prison. So yeah, I'm quite pleased I'm not going to prison, and I'm super pleased of how we've done and what we do. And I just think we do things well, and we do things right, I think, and that's why we're able to grow, and that's where we want to keep going down that avenue and keep this community sort of moving forward with us, because we love it. We love our motor trade community, and I'm not joking about that. We just love it. And all the legal advisors, they love working here as well. That's why people don't leave. We just grow. People don't leave. We just grow, and it's great.
You could almost say the same thing about Car Dealer magazine, but anyway, we won't pursue that of course. Anyway, honestly, great to talk to you two. It sounds a superb initiative. I really wish you the best of luck with it, and thank you very much for joining us today.